Hello, I'm Tom Ballard once again here at Fountain City United Methodist Church. This is Thursday, July 23rd, and just wanted to touch base with you to give you a little bit of an update on where we are in the midst of this pandemic and coronavirus situation. Our building remains virtually closed. Our worship is continuing to be done online and appears that it will be for the foreseeable future, quite honestly. Our bishop and cabinet will be revisiting the numbers, the metrics that are being used to measure when we will be able to reopen our worship service for in-person worship. And that will be done on the 27th of July. That's this coming Monday when the bishop and cabinet will be revisiting those numbers. And quite honestly, for Knox County, our numbers continue to go up. We're getting very close to a red zone now. We're currently in an orange zone. And until we get those numbers down into a yellow zone, we are going to be continuing to do what we're doing and be thankful that we have the technology to do that. So I do think that it's a pretty safe guess that we will not be meeting in person for the next few weeks. So I know that's not news. That is good news for us, but again, we do what we must do under the circumstances to keep everyone as safe as possible. On the first Sunday of August, which is August 2nd, we are planning on doing Holy Communion. It will be online. And here is what will be a little bit different compared to the last two times that we have done Holy Communion online, because our communion supplies, those individual servings, are on back order, and in order to try to minimize contact, we want to do our part. We are asking that between now and August 2nd that you gather your own supplies for communion. Perhaps you'll be going to a grocery store, or perhaps you'll be ordering groceries online and maybe going to pick those groceries up. Just put on your grocery list some juice and some bread. If you're not planning on going to the store, then just use what you have at home. And you can have that in front of you whenever you view that online service a week from this Sunday, which is Sunday, August the 2nd. And we will be, Pastor Kristen and I will be guiding us through a liturgy for Holy Communion on that day. We are continuing to work remotely for the most part. Our office staff is not here very much, and yet they are very present because phones are continuing to get answered. We're continuing to do a lot of behind-the-scenes work, and I do want you to know that our office staff and our entire staff, our program staff, our music, children, youth, our custodial staff, facilities, just across the board, are working very, very hard to try to live into this new day for us. And that reminds me, in my devotion this morning, my weekly theme this week is the theme of fear not. And in my devotion this morning, I was led again to the disciple Peter when he was with the disciples in a boat on the Sea of Galilee, and a storm rose up, and that storm was quite a squall. There must have been thunder and lightning. There must have been waves crashing. There must have been a lot of wind blowing. We've been through those kinds of things, haven't we? And the disciples were there in the boat just trying to hold themselves in. And you will remember that they saw walking on the water what some of them thought was a ghost. And then they thought that it might just be Jesus. So Peter spoke to Jesus. Lord, if it's you, then bid me to step out of the boat and come to you. And Jesus, as we knew Jesus would, in so many words said, "Come on, Peter, I'm waiting on you." And Peter stepped out of the boat, and for just a few seconds began to walk on the water with Jesus. And then he looked around him and was reminded that the storm was still going on. And he began to seek. And he asked Jesus for a hand. And Jesus rescued Peter, and they got back into the boat together. And there was a little bit of disappointment in Jesus' voice. Why did you doubt? Didn't you know that I'm always here? I will make sure that you're going to be kept safe. But your faith has really not lived up to its potential. That story reminds me of my own shortcomings and how sometimes my faith does not live up to its potential. I believe that in the middle of this coronavirus, it's really an understatement to say that it's a storm. It has upset everything. We don't know exactly how to respond. We might even step out of the boat and think that we have things under control, only to be reminded that the storm is still there. And we're going on about 6 months now, never thinking that we would be where we are. But friends, this is where we are. And I believe with my entire being that Jesus has not left us, and that Jesus is continuing to say to us, despite your little faith, I am with you. And so trust me that much more, because I am with you, and I will make sure that there's never a storm, never a wind, never a wave that is going to harm you ultimately. I am with you. That's good news for us today. It's a good word for our update today, knowing that we still have Jesus. And by the way, in the version of that story about Peter and Jesus walking on the water, in the Gospel of Matthew, the way that story is described, once they got into the boat and the winds and the waves ceased, the disciples worshiped Jesus. It wasn't just an acknowledgement that he was a miracle worker, but they worshiped him. They praised him. And that's what we're doing during these days. We're continuing to worship and to praise Jesus. That is a good word for us today. And I pray that you may know the full peace of a relationship with Jesus Christ. Even during this storm of pandemic, we can rest assured that regardless, he is our solid rock. Thanks be to God. Amen. And I know we will be in touch. Until next time, God bless you. Amen.